Example 6, we're going to use the power rule, which I've rewritten here. A to the nth power in parentheses raised to the nth is going to be equal to a to the m times n. So you're going to multiply these two things. To simplify, then you're going to use positive exponents to write all results. So I have x to the 5th raised to the power of 7. So that's going to be 5 times 7, which is x to the 35th. 2 squared cubed, my base is 2, and then I'm going to multiply the exponents 2 times 3 and get 2 to the 6th power, which is 64. And here I have 5 to the negative 1 and then squared, so that's going to be 5, my base, negative 1 times 2. So that's 5 raised to the negative 2, and I need to write it with a positive exponent. So 1 over 5 squared, which is 1 over 25, finally. Example 7, we're going to use the power rules to simplify the following. And again, we're going to use positive exponents to write all the results. So the power rules look like this. If I have a parentheses with a product inside of there, raised to the mth power, then I can raise both of the factors to the m power. Does not work if there's a plus in it or a minus. Same thing over here. If I have a fraction and I have an exponent outside of it, then I can take each of the numerator and the denominator and raise them to that power and remove the parentheses. All right, so let's try that. So here I have this situation. So I'm going to have 5 to the 3rd power times x squared to the 3rd power, and that means I'm going to multiply by 3. So that's going to be 125, and then 2 times 3 is 6. So remember, a power to power, we're going to multiply. Here, I will have 2 to the 3rd over 3 to the 3rd. So that's going to be 8 over 27 for the final answer. For C, I'm going to have 3 squared, so 3. Then I'm going to have the p to the 4th raised to the 2nd power. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 2. And then the q, I'm going to raise to the 2nd power, so I will multiply 5 times 2. So that gives me 9 p, and 4 times 2 is 8, over q, and 5 times 2 is 10. D, I have a base of 2, and then a power to a power, so negative 3 times negative 2 is going to be positive 6, and then y is also going to be raised to the negative 2 power. I have a negative exponent, so I'm going to move it across the fraction bar to make it positive. So 2 to the 6 is going to be 64, and then move up my y to the negative 2 and get y squared. Here, I'm going to raise x to the negative 5 to the 7th power. So power to power, I'm going to multiply and get 35. Multiply exponents again and get 14. And then for my z, I get negative 7. All right, so I want to then eliminate my negative exponents. So my y to the 14th will remain in the numerator, and then x to the negative 35 drops and becomes positive, and z to the negative 7 is going to drop and become positive. All right, let's skip over and take a look here at B. Again, I'm going to raise each of these expressions to the negative 3 power. So I have a negative 5 times negative 3 multiplying the exponents to get a positive 15. And then the base of x, the negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. So now I want to combine. You never leave two bases in the same expression. So I'm going to combine my x. I'm going to take my numerator exponent and subtract the denominator. And I get x to the 9th power for my final answer. D, let's see here. We'll have... let's write it 5 to the negative 2. I'm going to combine my x's. So I'm going to have negative 3 subtract 2. So I'm going to subtract my exponents and then I'm going to have y to the 11th, and then subtract -5, so that's going to make it be plus 5. So that is going to give us 5 to the -2, x to the -5, y to the 16th. Now I'm going to write this as a fraction. So 5 to the -2 is going to drop and be 5 squared, which is 25. X to the -5 is going to drop and become x to the 5th in the denominator, and then y to the 16th remains up in the numerator. We'll try and get in one more here. So here I'm going to have 3 to the 3rd, a to the 6th, power to a power, multiply, and the denominator 2 to the 3rd, x to the -3. Then that's my first parentheses. My second parentheses is going to be x, power to a power is going to be 3 over 4 to the -1. A, power to a power, multiply is going to give me a squared. So let's see then what we're going to do. So let's multiply across. Maybe what we'll do is we will multiply across, but we're going to combine all of our terms. So we've got a 3 to the 3rd over 2 to the 3rd. I'm going to have a to the 6th right here, and I'm going to combine it with the same base on that right side, a to the 2nd. So I'm going to subtract 2. Then I'm going to have x to the 3rd, and I'm going to combine it with this x. So it's going to be a minus 3, which is plus 3. And then I still have this 4 to the -1 here, so we'll move it up to the top and make it 4 to the 1 power. So that gives us 27 times 4, a to the 4th, x to the 6th, over 8. And finally, this 4 and this 8 will cancel. So cancel, that's a 2. So I'm going to get 27, a to the 4th, x to the 6th, over 2. Did that really quickly. Hope I didn't make a mistake.